All right, now we turn to section 3.5, but before we begin that, sections 3.1 and 3.2 discussed some basic definition. What is a population? What's a sample, a parameter, and a statistic? In section 3.3 and 3.4, we looked at graphical displaying of data, and we broke it up into graphing qualitative data versus graphing quantitative data. So in this particular section 3.5, we're going to be looking at a particular characteristic of data, and that's the center, or the measure of center. Recall that there are some things that we want to find given a particular data set. We are often interested in the center of the data set, or a representative number for that particular sample. We're often interested in how the data varies about a center. We're often interested in the distribution of the data, and we could see that when we looked at a histogram, and we're also interested in outliers. So these questions about distributions, outliers, those can be done using graphical means, but finding the center and a measure of variation, those can be computed using numerical methods, meaning technology can be used. You, of course, could do these by hand, but we're not a class of computing things by hand. We'll use technology to compute both a measure of center and variation. So both graphical and numerical methods are part of statistics known as descriptive statistics. And given a sample and the data from that sample, we can wholly describe that particular sample with descriptive statistics, meaning we can find a represented number for the center, meaning we can describe the variation of data values around the center. We can also describe the distribution, and we can indicate if there's any outliers for that particular sample. That's descriptive statistics. Later on, we'll look at using what we find from a sample, which is what we do when we look at descriptive statistics, and making a decision or a prediction or an estimate on population parameters of something that we don't have direct access to. So that's known as inferential statistics, when we use descriptive statistics to make an estimate on parameters about the population. That's inferential statistics. Okay, so this particular section focuses on measures of center, otherwise known as measures of central tendency. So this comes up in everyday language. Maybe you're going to pick a major and you are influenced by how much you would make with that particular major. So you might ask yourself, how much would you expect to earn in that field? And so that language there is looking for, what's the average salary perhaps in that particular field. On the other hand, maybe you're moving to a new town. You might ask yourself, what could you expect to pay for housing? Okay, so that would be you looking for, what is a typical expected housing price. Or let's say maybe you're a farmer and you're planting vegetables in the spring. You might ask yourself, well, how long will it take until you can harvest? So, basically, how long should you expect it to take before you can harvest? So these are all questions where you want to get a good handle about what the average value is in these different contexts. So the three different measures of center that we'll be looking at are the mode, median, and mean. And each of these words are often indicated as the word quote-unquote average. Okay, so let's go ahead and define these three words now. We have the mode, the data value that occurs most frequently in the data. To find it, you count how often each data value occurs, and then determine which data value occurs most often. This can easily be found if you make a frequency table of your quantitative data. If you have qualitative data, you can also find the mode because, again, you will see which data value occurs most often. In that case, the data value is a name or label. So the mode could be something that's found in both qualitative and quantitative data. It's the most frequently occurring data value, doesn't have to be numerical. The median, on the other hand, is a data value in the middle of a sorted, ordered list of data, and to order or sort the data, it's got to be quantitative in nature. To find it, you put the data in order from smallest to largest, and then determine which value is in the middle of the data set. So as long as you can order your entire data set from smallest to largest, and then pick out the middle value, you can find the median. Median for middle. Lastly, the mean is the arithmetic average of the numbers. This is the measure of center that most people call the average, though all three, mean, median, and mode, are used often to indicate average. So in mathematics, we will be very specific about what measure of center we're going to be using. We won't say average, we'll say mode, median, or mean.